class by Hindsight Radio. Um, as you can tell, I have my screen up here that shows what days my show is on. It's on Tuesday at 7 p.m. every week and Thursday at 7 p.m. every week. And my son does a show on Fridays. All right, this lesson is going to be on the certificate of non-citizen national. I look at a lot of people's paperwork, people who are helping people get passports as nationals or state citizens. If you know me well, I don't subscribe to the state citizen passport. Um, and before I go into the actual lesson, I'll share my screen. Let me go to the North Carolina Constitution real quick. I know the screen is not showing just yet. I haven't gotten to the actual page that I want to show you. All right, let me share that with you. All right, you should be looking at the North Carolina Constitution. Um, Let me unmute real quick. Can y'all see that? And somebody just give me a quick yes.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. I know it looks like from my end, it looks like you can see it, but you never know with technology. All right, here we go. Down here, for those who want to do, there's a process called Copper Moon, and it basically tells you how to fill out the application and just check off no for your parents, sign it a certain way, and send the application in. If you go look at my video on YouTube, you'll see that that's not enough. The actual video is called the Understanding the DS11. Go to my YouTube under Akeem L, Akeimel. Actually, I will pull it up. Um, is this my page? No, this is not the correct one. I have two of them, so bear with me. Move this around. As y'all can see, I do a lot of studying. I got a bunch of windows open. Um, Let me share that. Um, this is my channel here. If that picture that's in the background, that I went to the Bahamas, and there was a restaurant that had this picture on the wall, and you can see the Aboriginals or the natives, and then you can see out on the water there the Christian ships coming in. I didn't. There's another part of this picture where it shows those ships coming in, and then it transformed to modern day, where people are in the churches that we know today. I thought that was interesting. But here's the video right here. Understanding the DS11. Look at that video. That goes over everything. So let's go back to what we were going to discuss. Certificates of non-citizen nationals. Let's go.
You've invested tons of time and money moving freight, and trucking costs are going up. Get the best freight with the best rates and discover what thousands of carriers and owner-operators already know. The power, speed, and reliability of DAT.
The all-new GoDaddy Arrow helps you get your business online in minutes with the power of AI. With the perfect name, a great logo, and a beautiful website. Just start with a domain, a few clicks, and you're in business. Make now the future at godaddy.com/arrow.
You should be able to see that. Certificates of non-citizen nationals. This is quite a long read, but I have to read the whole thing, and a lot of it is junk. Stuff that doesn't apply to you, but to understand the whole document, I have to read the whole thing. So let's go. All right, certificates of non-citizen nationality. This is the covenant. Oh, I want my certificate of non-citizen to show that I'm a non-citizen or I'm a national. So let's dispel with some myths and some misunderstandings when it comes to this certificate. All right, it says the Department of State occasionally receives requests for certificates of non-citizen national status pursuant to Section 341B of the Immigration and Nationality Act of the Immigration and Nationality Act 8 USC 1452B. As the title of the certificate indicates, only a person who is a non-citizen U.S. national, i.e., a U.S. national but not a U.S. citizen, may apply for such certificate. See, there's wordplay here. It says only a person, right here, who is a non-citizen U.S. national, i.e., a U.S. national but not a U.S. citizen, may apply for such a certificate. Now, here's the trickery. Anytime you see the U.S. in there, in front of it, then it says, but not a U.S. citizen, that's still a U.S. citizen. See, they're playing with your mind here. All right? All right. And I'll prove it because it'll tell you. As defined by the INA, all U.S. citizens are U.S. nationals, right? Okay, there it is. So let's go back up to the top. It says, as the title of the certificate indicates, only a person who is a non-citizen U.S. national, example, a U.S. national but not a U.S. citizen may apply for such certificate. So this is, most people who read this stop right here and, oh, this is it. They forget that this U.S. is sticking right in there. And that's still a U.S. citizen. It just says, as defined by the INA, all U.S. citizens are U.S. nationals, but only a relatively small number of persons require U.S. nationality without becoming a U.S. citizen. Section 101A21 of the INA defines the term national as a person owing permanent allegiance to a state. Now, do you see the trickery right there? Now they give you, in quotations, national, right? Notice that's lowercase, every bit of it, lowercase, right? When they talk about U.S. up here, they put it in uppercase. It didn't say U.S. national in front of it either. It said national. See, they're playing with you when you're looking at this. So you have to read the whole thing and read it several times. All right. It says the INA defines the term national as a person owing permanent allegiance to a state. Right here. Let's look up the word state. I didn't read to, I'll go back to the state citizen. I opened up that constitution. I kind of didn't go to that, but I'll go back to it later. All right, because I'm already in this form. All right, state. Definition. All right, right here, it says state, the particular condition. The very first meaning of the word state is the particular condition that someone or something is in at a specific time, condition, shape, situation. Then the second meaning is country, nation, land, confederation. So it has two meanings, that lowercase state. So right here, it's talking about your status, your condition, your permanent allegiance to a foreign state from the U.S., okay? Section 101A22 of the INA provides that the term national of the United States includes all U.S. citizens as well as persons who, though not citizens of the United States, owe permanent allegiance to the United States Non-citizens nationals. So let's go back up to the document. Isn't that what they're trying to give you? A certificate of non-citizen nationality? And they're telling you that a non-citizen nationals owe permanent allegiance to the United States, right? So let's go to that. Basically, the non-citizen nationals are state citizens. That's what that is, all right? Because it said permanent allegiance to the United States. Let me prove it. All right, it says here, let's go to, this is the North Carolina Constitution, state constitution. And let's go to section, second, I have to find it. I always forget the number. I don't think I want that. Oh, here it is. Not section 5. Allegiance to the United States. Every citizen of this state owes paramount allegiance to the Constitution and government of the United States, and no law or ordinance of the state in contravention or subversion thereof can have any binding force. So it's telling you, if you're considering yourself a state citizen, you are basically a U.S. citizen, or you owe allegiance to the United States. Okay? So is this really what they're trying to give you? Certificates of non-citizen nationality? You have to think in reverse when you're dealing with the government, right? You have to think in reverse. Okay, let's keep reading because it will get clearer as I go on. Section 308 INA confers U.S. nationality but not U.S. citizenship on persons born in an outlying possession of the United States or born of a parent.
You have to go through something to accomplish something. Say it again. You have to go through something to accomplish something. Unfortunately, a lot of people are not willing to go through something to accomplish something. It's too hard. That's too much. I hear people say it all the time. Man, that stuff you do, I couldn't do that. Working that hard and making all those and that static are being sacrificed. And that's, if your stuff's not available, they can't hear it. Sometimes you got to feel your way through the dark, and I struggled all the way up into the minute. Peace, prosperity, and extreme wealth to all you guys.
This is Hindsight Radio. I represent it, the information station changing the nation.
Peace, everybody. What's going on? Second, my phone just started to ring. All right. I'm sorry for the late start. Had to go run out, pick up my daughter because she's working on the sound system at the school. They got to play, and she's part of the production crew. So she gets out late all this week. So that's why I scheduled the show for 7:30. But I'm going to make this a quick show. And the reason why I wanted to read this, someone sent me this email about taxes, and I guess they didn't understand what all of the jargon in the U.S. citizen, natural born citizen, things like that, what that meant. Sometimes people, I thought this would be interesting for you. And instead of saying they don't understand it, they just send it to me to interpret it. And they don't actually say that, because if they understood their statuses, they wouldn't even bother sending this to me. And if they understood what I teach, they wouldn't even bother sending this stuff to me. But I read it. How's everybody doing out there? Man, I got a light crew on today. Maybe because I didn't connect to my Church of Infinite Abundance channel. I just got Hindsight hooked up. But anyway, This is a busy week for me. I got to go out of town to Miami to officiate a wedding. And I actually got 2 weddings to officiate, one in July and one this month, end of this month, March the 31st. I just realized, isn't March 31st Easter? I just realized that. But anyway, so I'm going to read this and I'm going to break it down and let you know who you really are. And most of you already know what this is. You know, what your relationship to the U.S. citizenship, tax codes, and stuff like that. It's all about what you identify with, whether you have to do these things. I'm missing something. There you go. It's missing. So we got 7 people on. Hey, make sure y'all hit them likes and subscribe. Oh yeah, before I get into that webinar next week, the student loan elimination webinar, we finally got that project going. It's up and running. I sent out some links through email. Go ahead and sign up. It's 3 levels. I think it's 97, 197, and 297 levels. Sign up so I can show you how to get rid of those loans, man. I've been teaching people this for years. I've gotten rid of hundreds and helped people get hundreds and hundreds of $1,000s worth of loans over the years. And mines is included in that. Remember, I told you I helped my wife get rid of $92,000. I'll be showing that actual paper, showing, personal information redacted, but all the loans dating way back from the beginning when she was taking these loans out. So I'll be introducing that to this webinar. So let's get right to it. It's been a busy day for me. I'm like ready to shut it down. I had to go get a haircut for my trip because we're leaving Friday. It's my first time in Miami. It's crazy. I'm going to Miami for the first time ever. Never been there before. Been a lot of places. That's one place I've never done a seminar. And I'm doing a wedding. I'm honored. So I'm looking forward to that. So let's share this. So this was something that was sent to me related to the tax code and things like that. And it says purpose. The Internal Revenue Service. I've seen this letter before some years ago. This is not the first time I've seen this. This is old, pretty old. It says the Internal Revenue Service is aware that some taxpayers are claiming that they are not subject to federal income tax or that their income is excluded from taxation. You notice how they say the Internal Revenue Service is aware that some taxpayers are claiming. They're already identifying them as taxpayers. Why? Why do they right off the rip? You're a taxpayer. And when they send you letters that say, dear taxpayer, they just make these assumptions on you, right? Are claiming that they are not subject to federal income tax or that their income is excluded from taxation because the taxpayers have declared that they have rejected or renounced United States citizenship because the taxpayers are citizens exclusively of a state. See, this is why I never agree with the state citizenship argument. But a lot of people love it. They love that one. Yeah, I'm a state citizen, but they forget some things. And if you were born, and I've said this in some shows in the back, way back when, if you were born in a U.S. hospital, a state-run hospital, and you applied for a birth certificate and got a social security card, then all of this stuff applies to you. So you cannot run from that. You got that birth certificate and got that social. Let me change it. It doesn't apply to you per se as the spiritual being God uh uh brought into this world through a divine method that God created. But you were brought into this world, this world, man's world, the non-spiritual world, by another method. Not when I say you, the other you, the alter ego of you that you at some point were never aware that it applied, that it meant anything to you. The one that was created. This is why they snatched that child away from you for a time and they start creating all these paperworks. They're creating the corporation right there on the spot. They're creating the articles of incorporation. All of that doctor's paperwork, the weight, the height, all of that stuff, all of that is the articles of incorporation. Oh, wow, Keem, you tripping tonight, huh? We got him. We gotta tie this spiritual being and bring him down from his lofty position, his heavenly position, into our realm so that we can do business with him or her. We gotta do what the Bible said. What happened to Satan? He got kicked out of heaven and was cast down to the earth. And what is he doing now? In this realm, he's got to bring you down from your position. So what did he do? Man government. He placed all of these governments in place. Remember, one of the things that he offered Christ was all of the kingdoms of the world. So that means he had that position. He had the power to give that. So when you come down from the spiritual realm, because you are injected spiritually into the womb of your mother by the divine connection between your mother and father. And that's all you really need. But when you go into man's establishments, his created entities to create and deliver births, there's two births there's two births happening. You had the spiritual birth, the light side, and then the dark side. And but the light has to come first. Then they have to kill the light by creating that paperwork. And then the dark, I didn't mean to go in this direction, but the ancestors got me talking right now. Then once the baby comes out, they snatch that divine being and cut off the umbilical cord, cut off the spiritual downloads that the baby should still get so that it can handle all of the darkness that is about to enter, so that can extinguish this darkness. But what is it? They cut it off. So you lose knowledge. You become forgetful of who you really are. We all was cut off. And we have to find our way back to the light in this world of darkness. But as I said in another show, that all you need is a small amount of light to run away a lot of darkness. So all you have to do is seek, as the Bible says, and you will find. Ask, knock, and the door will be open. You'll be able to get back in. But you're not going to get back in looking at man's way. You got to look at God's way. Now, let's keep reading. See, that's what I'm saying. These are one of their terminologies. Taxpayer is one of their man-made terminologies, and they want you to identify with that. So if a person understood what I taught, they would have never sent this to me. I appreciate them sending it. Creates something for me to talk about. But at the same time, if he had an understanding of who his divine nature is, where it came from, they would have never sent this to me. Because it was like, they ain't even talking about me. Nowhere in this. Aware that some taxpayers, that's defamation of character right now. The taxpayers have declared that they have rejected or renounced United States citizenship because the taxpayers are citizens exclusively of a state, sometimes characterized as a natural born citizen of a sovereign state. Yes, they are natural born citizens of a sovereign state or a state. All of this terminology is correct once you know where it belongs. You become a natural born citizen the moment you took that birth certificate. The moment you, and then you became a natural born federal citizen once you adopted and annexed onto the birth certificate or onto that name, the Cal Cap's name, a social security card. First, you become the natural born citizen of the state. And then once you, because you don't always have to go get the social security, so, you know, you go get it later on. Then you take the name and annex it into the federal jurisdiction. But you have to fill out the articles of incorporation first, AKA the SS5. See, you incorporated by the birth certificate by filling out what? The birth certificate application for incorporation. They don't say that. This is an application for a birth certificate or a certificate of live birth. And everybody's, you got to get the certificate of live birth. Right? You got to have that. Yeah, that's it. That's the key. I ain't see nothing. Live birth or both of the birth certificates serve the same purpose. Identifying the day that name became a corporation for the state and county so that it can now transact business, because they will not transact business with you in none of these entities until you give up that paperwork. They want to see their citizen, the paperwork, the birth certificate. They don't want to see you. They want to see the you could go, hey, I'm this and that. Oh, they can't hear you. They can't see you until you give up that birth certificate. How do I know it's you? It's you. It don't become you or it until you hand over that paperwork. What do they ask you for when you get pulled over? Let me see that driver's license. And then they take the spiritual you, the real, and make you pay for all of their fees. You're being taxed as a slave because you chose to step away from God and take their stuff. And some of you say, well, I didn't choose, my mama did it. I say you is in a very general term. You're using it. We're using it. It must, I've been fasting today. So I've started my fast. Last time I ate a meal was over 24 hours ago. It's probably going on 27, 28 hours. So this could be why I'm talking this way. That's why I don't have any filters getting in the way of what I need to say. The taxpayers claim they are not persons as identified by the Internal Revenue Code. Did you see that? The taxpayers claim that they are not persons. Remember what I told you what that word persons relate to under the 14th Amendment when I showed y'all that little snippet from Black's Law's Dictionary, 3rd edition. Persons as identified by the Internal Revenue Code. They actually tell on themselves in this stuff, right? When you read it and you understand what persons, taxpayer, U.S. citizenship, natural born, once you understand all that, you like, yeah, all that stuff is you good on that, Mr. IRS code. But here's the thing. I don't identify as none of that stuff you talking about. So basically it don't apply to me, right? These taxpayers often furnish Forms W-4 employee withholding allowance certificate to their employers in which the taxpayer claim excessive withholding allowance or claim complete exemption from withholding. This is why I always told y'all that stuff is no good. You can't take that name that you incorporated into their system and then now claim a bunch of exemptions or add in allowances and think that's going to fix it. No, remember, that's why I started at the birth certificate. That's a entity that was created to transact business. So if you can't change the way it's supposed to do business unless you change the articles of incorporation, you have to amend those documents. Akeem, what do you mean by I got to amend those documents? You will have to go in and possibly file suit against the hospital for not giving you full disclosure of what it meant to get a birth certificate, what it was doing to your life, how it damaged your life by having all these credentials. You have been damaged. You don't know you've been damaged. I can't birth certificate. No, because you were never supposed to get a birth certificate from the state. You were supposed to get a birth certificate out of your religious book. And that's the only birth certificate you're supposed to use. And guess what? The passport accepts that as a form to know where you were born. See, when we are presenting that, see, we going down a whole new road. I was like, why was I told to fast? I just wanted to read this letter. But I'm just blown away by what's just came to me. We can't even present the birth certificate anymore to get a passport. Not the man-made one. Can't do it because you're presenting their stuff to claim that you're not of this world. It just hit me. See, I was under the oppression, things take time. You get to these points, and then you have the epiphany. We have to create, even us adults have to go recreate that birth certificate based on the one that you have as evidence. And then get that notarized and certified, and then get that notary authenticated and submit that as your birth certificate. Hmm. I have the details in my head, but I'm not going to go through. I just gave y'all a summation of what needs to be done. But we'll get to that. I just put it out there because the answer said, okay, you done said enough. That's it. That's it. Based on these W form, federal income taxes are not withheld from wages paid. Alternatively, these taxpayers attempt to avoid their federal income tax liability by submitting a Form 4852 substitute for Form W-2 wage and tax statement or Form 1099-R distributions from pensions, annuities, retirement, or profit sharing plans, IRAs, insurance contracts, etc. to the Internal Revenue Service with a zero on the line for the amount of wages received. I've seen that before, and I've seen people get in trouble. These taxpayers often either fail to file returns or file returns showing no income and claiming a refund for any withheld income taxes. The service is also aware that some promoters, including return preparers, market a book, package, kit, or other materials that claim to show taxpayers how they can avoid paying income taxes based on these and other meritless arguments. This revenue ruling emphasizes to taxpayers, promoters, and return preparers that all U.S. citizens and residents are subject to federal income tax. They're right. This is right. This is 100% right. All U.S. citizens and residents are subjects to federal income tax. Now, the question you have to ask yourself, are you a U.S. citizen? Are you a resident U.S. citizen that's subject to federal income tax? Who are you? Now, if you are using that social, using that birth certificate as proof of birth and all of that stuff and into the US, into the state, then yes, you're that. Akeem, it sounds like you double talking. You double back on some stuff. Yes, I am. I am on that. Yes, I've helped people get their passport as nationals and American nationals thousands upon thousands, right? And we have got certified copies back saying that you're not. But here's the next step. We can't be using paperwork that got created in their system to claim ourselves not to be part of the system. Total relinquishment of using their documents. And it was right in front of me the whole time. I just was, I'm distracted. And now I see because it says, let's pull up a DS11. All right. This is a DS11. Trying to. All right. So on the DS11, tells you how to submit it, how do you prove your citizenship. Now, it says right here, these are the things that they want. See, and they have, if you notice on here, it said applicants born in the United States. This is what you present. They give you the stuff here, right? You need a U.S. birth certificate that meets all the following criteria: issued by a city, county, state of birth, list the full name, birth date, and birthplace, list your parents' full names, list date filed with registrar's office must be within 1 year of birth. Shows registrar's signature and the seal of the issuing authority. Then fully valid, undamaged U.S. passport, consular report of birth abroad or certification of birth abroad, certificate of naturalization or citizenship. Secondary, it says this. Secondary documents may be submitted if the U.S. birth certificate was filed more than 1 year after your birth or if no birth record exists. For no birth record on file, submit a registrar's letter to that effect. For both scenarios, submit a combination of the evidence listed below with your first and last name, birth date, birthplace, the seal, or other certification of the office, if customary, and the signature of the issuing official. A hospital birth record, an early baptismal or circumcision certificate. See, they will use that. a census, school, medical, or family Bible record. See, they always use the most important thing you need to have is right there, that family Bible record. Insurance files, notarized affidavits, or DSM birth affidavit, or older blood relatives having knowledge of your birth may be submitted in addition to some of the records listed above. The answer is there. Bible record, an affidavit of your relatives saying this is when and how they were born, and blah, blah, blah. And I suspect to make this really work, you would have to actually go in and sit down at a passport agency, not the post office, not your secondary, third party places. You would have to go in there because now they see you. They don't have to worry about, well, is this really you? You're there, you're in front of them. That's the big gem I just gave, and I'm going to move on. Y'all can continue to read this. They want proof of identity. They either want a driver's license, current U.S., most of y'all will already have a passport, federal, state, or city government employee identification. I'm brainstorming right now. That's why I'm taking so many pauses. So, any argument a taxpayer's income is excluded from taxation because the taxpayer has rejected or renounced United States citizen because the taxpayer is a citizen exclusively of a state, sometime characterized as a natural born citizen of a sovereign state, or the taxpayer is not a person as defined by the Internal Revenue Code and is therefore not subject to federal tax and has no merit and is frivolous. So if you go on your job, you give them a social, you give them all those things, you just gave them the U.S. citizen. If you ever been in bankruptcy court, they always want to see that social because they want to make sure the U.S. person is there so that they can transact business with that. So we have to start getting in the mindset of understanding who you are. And I always say that identifying with your spiritual lineage is the most important thing. Because no one can question you. Stop identifying as all of these things that they created for you to identify. And this is what's causing the problem because we have false identities. We're using masks that someone said you should use. I could keep reading, but I think I made my point. I think I made my point. What do y'all think? Let me see what the comments say. So Omar L says, peace. Akeem, peace back to you, brother. DJOJ say, peace, everyone. Discipleship Ministry SC says, peace, my brother. A motivated individual said, Akeem, you just dropped the gem, but I will not say too much until the meeting next week. What you just said connected the dots for me. He said, I don't think people just got the message yet. The way the hospital presents it to the mother is totally different. I will ask the questions in the meeting. So now we need to go back through the process of correcting the presumptions. Not necessarily. You don't have to. But I am. Because we're presenting their paperwork to say who we are. And we have to get away from that. We need to be coming in always representing God. We are ambassadors of Christ, as the Bible says. And whatever faith you have, it'll say something similar to that. And any faith that you connect to, they all instruct you to make this your way of life. But what we did, we've been taught our spiritual views from a novelty standpoint, like it's something you do after the fact. Yeah, and they use that scripture, obey your governmental authorities, all of that stuff. Yeah, you be respectful to the laws, but at the same time, you have to identify who you are and be you. What you mostly supposed to be respectful to is God and His laws. Everything else is secondary. Everything else is secondary. And as long as they don't impede on your religious freedoms. But I'm gonna tell you, these birth certificates of associate, those are definitely slaps in the face to your religious freedoms. Here's why I say that. Remember, the three Hebrew boys, he had created this statue for everyone to praise and give thanks to, whatever, and they wouldn't do it. But before that, they was trying to give them a diet. I remember Daniel was there. They give them a diet. That was a king's diet. No, they wanted to honor. They in their diet and everything, they did it according to God. And by them doing that, they were held in higher regard than anyone else. But then some sneaky priest, I think it was, encouraged the king to make this idol and then make everybody pray. And whoever doesn't do it shall die, because they were jealous. But King Nebuchadnezzar, not realizing what he had walked into, he was set up to do that against the people he had held in high regard, who helped him interpret a dream. Daniel helped him interpret a dream. You see? But now he had to, because he was the king, he had to keep to his word so he don't look weak. But they've always kept to their own traditions, their own diet. They prayed when they were supposed to. They had a structure that they stayed with, and it kept them protected, and they were held higher than all the others, which made all those others jealous of. Can we say that for our lives? Can you say that for your traditional churches of today? No, they don't look any different. See, they're worshiping on a surface level, not on a higher, deeper level. These are just rituals. We follow this, but at the same time, we send all of our churchmen. Make sure you go get your marriage licenses. Make sure you get your birth certificates and do all of that stuff. It's in their mind, because they're not learned or knowledgeable or have a full understanding of what all of that stuff is doing. They encourage you to do that. Oh, see, King Bay say interesting. The steps you have in the private meeting are correct, and the steps you have us to do can take it a little further. Yep, they're correct, but I'm starting to realize that we're presenting that paperwork too. It kind of creates oh, that contact. But as the days go on, I'm gonna get more enlightenment. Hey, it's 8:20. I think I gave enough for y'all to chew on. All right. Well, if y'all want to, I think, let's see something. Let me just check something here. All right. So if y'all want to get on that webinar, go to this website. I'm putting it in the chat. It's the avatar. Absolutely. For y'all to register. All right. I'm a little weary. I'm Right now, the downloads have stopped, so I think that means I've given you guys enough for tonight. And I apologize for Sunday. I didn't do a show Sunday. In a sense, still contracting with them. Absolutely. Yes. Think about it. It's their paperwork. And they always want their paperwork when you're trying to do any business. Mm-hmm. All right, so I'm gonna shut it down. Peace, prosperity, and extreme wealth to all. Y'all have a good night. Peace, prosperity, and extreme wealth to all. You guys.
This is Hindsight Radio. I represent it. The information station changing the nation.